Hi everybody. So this next section is on converting decimals to fractions and fractions to decimals. In most of these cases, I'll let you use a calculator for this as well, but just to kind of show you how to do this. So what we'll look at is converting decimals to fractions and converting fractions to decimals, and then we'll talk about common decimal equivalents. So when you convert a decimal to a fraction, right, you basically think of writing the decimal using words, and then write the fraction and then reduce to lowest term. So here's an example, right? So 0.6 would be 6/10, so that would basically mean you have 6 out of 10 equal parts, and then you can reduce that to 3/5, right? And so you should always try to reduce fractions as much as you can, right? Take 0.38, that would be 3,800. So hundredths, so that would be 38 divided by 100. You can reduce that to 19/50, right? Because 2 will go into the top and the bottom. 0.0875, you can write that as 875 thousandths. So that's 875 divided by 1,000, and you can reduce that to 7/8. Now, to convert a decimal to a fraction, there's another way you can do this. You can remove the decimal point, and then the resulting number is the numerator, and then the denominator is 1 followed by as many zeros as there were digits to the right of the decimal point. So let's look at these three examples. So for part A, right, you just sort of erase the decimal, just write 3, and then think about how many places you have to move the decimal here to get the 3, right? So you have to move it 1, so you just move the decimal 1 place here to get a 10. Right, you have the 0.89, so write 89 on, or sorry, 98 on top, and then since you'd have to move the decimal 2 places here, you'd have 2 zeros there, and then don't forget you can reduce the fraction. 0.654 would be 654 over 1,000. That's 327 over 500. All right, so then you have 3 places here, so you'd have 3 zeros. Now, as far as converting fractions to decimals, right, you basically just divide. So divide the numerator by the denominator, and then place the decimal point after the numerator, and then attach zeros as necessary until the division produces a remainder of 0 or the desired degree of accuracy is reached. So let's say you wanted to take 1/8 and convert that to a decimal. Right, you'd take 1, basically take 1 divided by 8, that gives you 0.1, and then you'd have a remainder of 2. So again, you can either keep going like that, or you can just stop whenever you want, right? Especially if the decimal keeps going on forever, then you'll have to round the answer or write it with the remainder. But if this does stop at some point, if you do get a remainder of 0, you get that, right? So that means that 1/8 is the same thing as 0.125. So you basically just do division, right? And again, most calculators, most modern calculators, again, it depends on the brand that you have, but there will be typically buttons that convert decimals to fractions, things like that. So if I type in 1, hit this button, type in 1/8, right, it'll write it as 1/8. And then if I want to convert from fractions to decimals, you'll notice above this button there's a F to D that just stands for fraction to decimal. So if I want to do that, I got to hit the second button here first to access the blue things above the button, and then hit that, and it will convert it. You can also just type in 1 divided by 8, and it will convert it automatically also. So again, everybody's calculator might be a little bit different. So, but in most cases, I will let you use a calculator for something like this. So, but there might be problems where I may require you to do this by hand without a calculator, so be sure that you know how to do those without a calculator as well. 2/3, again, you would just do long division there, right? So 2/3 is the same thing as 0.66. Now this decimal never terminates, so you'll have to round that at some point, or you can write this with a bar over the top. That just indicates that the 6 repeats forever. So again, you can't really write 6s forever. I mean, I guess you die before you get done writing them. So we'll just, hopefully in this case, I'll tell you what place to round to. So in this case, they want you to round to the nearest thousand, so that'd be 0.667. Now there are certain fractions that show up a lot, like when you're doing mechanics or woodworking or something like that, that you might want to be familiar with. I'm not going to expect you guys to memorize these. Maybe you want to put these down on a formula sheet or something like that. But 1/16 is about the same thing as 0.0625. 1/10 is 0.1. 1/9 is 0.11 roughly. And some of these will be rounded and some won't. 1/7 is 0.1429. So like if you see this decimal, you might recognize that as the fraction. Again, I'm not going to expect you guys to memorize these. So if you do want to put these on your formula sheet for the midterm and the final, you can. I don't know if it'll be that useful, but these wouldn't be bad things to memorize. Here's some other decimal equivalents. Again, I'm not, some of these you can convert pretty easily, like 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5, etc. So I don't know if you have to memorize those, but you might want to just look at those and be familiar with those. And then, like I said, you might want to, just to be on the safe side, copy these decimal and fractional equivalents down on your formula sheet. All right. If you guys have questions, as usual, let me know.